Howdy, everybody. I'm Thomas Blair, lead designer for Crowfall.
And I'm Mark Hallish, senior designer on Crowfall.
And we are here for the March edition of the Ace Q&A. Yes, our card that tells us what month it is. All right, let's go to the questions. Okay, first question. Is armor mitigation in-game, and if so, why does basic armor have 20 physical across the board while crafted plate starts at 10? Shouldn't it be the other way around? Well, let's talk about armor mitigation first.
Sure.
Right, so I think everyone is assuming that it's all adding into one big pile and it just reduces your overall damage.
Right.
And is that the case?
Well, actually it is not. We actually have hit locations.
Correct. So when you get hit by a power, we determine what slot on the body gets hit. Head, torso, which includes the legs, feet, and gloves. And that is the actual slot we use to mitigate against. So we go and look at what armor piece you have in that slot, what its mitigation value is, and that's what your saving roll is. Right?
Correct.
What does that do?
Well, it reduces your damage. Right?
Well,
Reduces the damage you take, right?
Sure, but I mean, I guess if we compare it to games from your...
Oh, right. So, I mean, sure. I mean, what it basically means is we could, for example, we could have a field that only hits your feet, or we could have, attacks that just hit your head, specifically targeted attacks.
It also means that you can't get away with wearing one piece of armor.
That's right.
You need to equip the whole body, otherwise you will suffer.
Right. You will get hit in the head, or wherever you don't have armor is going to get hit.
And you'll take a full hit.
Right. Take a full hit.
Yeah. So let's... And then I guess the second part of that question is, why is basic armor so good?
Right. So, I mean, basically, once thralls are in and you're able to do factory runs of these things, you'll be able to do way better than 20%, right?
Yeah, they're handcrafting with poor resources generally right now. We wanted everybody to use basic because, hey, we're still in testing, right? I mean, we're trying to make sure that everything works and people use these things. So we over-boosted those to get people in it, and they're lacking the rest of the crafting system, which is factories and thralls to mass produce this. And yeah.
Yeah, so basically, eventually, because you'll be able to achieve perfection, right? Perfection will be a reasonable goal if you're if you're top end kind of crafter. Once everything's in,
and then you're going to mass produce it,
right? And then you're going to mass produce them. So
it's a state of where we are in testing right now. So don't expect that long term for the basic to be better than the advanced. It will very quickly switch around.
See that?
Okay, next question. Runecrafting got placed at the end of the experimentation line, which is fine. I hadn't trained it, so my skill is dark until I do. But the skills in the front of it make no sense. So I think what this player is talking about is, in the basic tree, we give you a bunch of basic stats for basic crafting, and you can experiment on basic crafting stuff. What they don't realize is that basic crafting is a parent stat. And parent stats trickle down into all the children's stats. So a point in basic crafting actually gives you a point in all of the crafting. It's not actually a full point, it's a percentage of it, it's a small amount, but it still gives you additional stats. So there's absolutely no reason to never want basic crafting stat. If it gets too confusing in the future, we might think about renaming it, I guess. So it doesn't imply that it's a basic thing that you never use again. Right. I think there's an assumption there from people who've played other crafting systems or other stat systems, and they don't realize that our stats all have parent stats that flow into children's stats.
Right. The idea is there's always skills are always useful is the high level there. So.
Yeah, we try and make everything useful all the time, so it doesn't feel like anyone has wasted time.
Yeah, you're not throwing anything away, basically.
Right. Okay, next question. All right, this is a long one, and I'm going to kind of summarize it, but basically it's a follow-up to the pip crafting question we answered last month about how many pips they're going to get. And the question is, basically, for weapons, why do anything but damage? Always go damage, since his examples say something that, to the effect that sheen doesn't actually help you with as much as damage would. And let's dive into that a little bit. So damage isn't always the best thing. I mean, right now in our current testing environment, maybe, right? But weapon efficiency still hasn't been tuned properly.
Right.
And once we tune that and powers start costing more based on having a crummy weapon versus a really good weapon, then efficiency might be a more important stat than damage.
Indeed. And I mean, even speaking, if this is the question I'm thinking of, even talking to the larger balanced questions, the thing to keep in mind too is a lot of there are a lot of things baked into the archetype right now that are were really prototypes for disciplines that will soon be coming down the line.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So a lot of, like, for example, a lot of archetypes are regenerating resource because they basically have sort of built-in things that we presume are going to be coming from disciplines pretty quick. So right now, resources there are archetypes that gain more resource more easily than others, basically.
Yeah, if people think back to some of the earlier versions of Crowfall and like Hunger Dome days, like early Hunger Dome days, the Confessor would run out of mana like that, right? Because her design was to basically blow through all her mana and then have to sit there and channel to get mana back. And that has, as we've added in all the things that we knew were eventually going to go into disciplines, now that we have disciplines, we can start pulling those things out.
Right.
It's great that we've hit that point, and we just had that content drop released where we unveiled disciplines to all you guys about how cool and varied and all the options you're going to have. I'm super jazzed about that whole system.
It's gonna blow the lid off this thing.
But we had been designing characters to be all, I guess the best MOBA-like, right? Because they were all, you didn't have any choices. You couldn't change the loadouts until recently. So we had to make them all kind of equal. Otherwise, people wouldn't play most of them in there, right? So some of them are way stronger than we'd always intended them to be. And some of them might be a little weaker. But now that we start pulling things out, putting in the disciplines, and you guys decide what you want to make of these characters, it's super exciting times. But things are about to change in a lot of big ways.
Yeah, it should be pretty exciting.
Yeah. All right, next question. There was a very long question that kind of boiled down to, what is your goal for group combat going forward? And I think a lot of this stems from people worrying about balance where we're at in this testing environment before we've gotten disciplines in game.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, and that's going to be a huge part of like for example, if confessors are melting your face off or whatever, you'll be able to specifically defend against fire damage. Or too many knights on the field, then you can get something that will help you take down people who are blocking. For example, lots of I guess. What would you call that sort of approach?
Hard counters.
Yeah, hard counters.
Right. There are definitely a bunch of hard counters that we're building into the discipline system, and they haven't had access to any of that. We didn't even for the disciplines. We're making all new powers.
Yeah, exactly. We more or less laid out all the mechanics on the table that we have, and we're more or less trying to say, okay, what needs a counter, and how can we offer that to you, and that's basically. Going to be a big part of this. It's
going to be a huge part of this. So it will be, how do we kind of make that perfect group with a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and defend against this because they're probably going to have that. So that is coming, and we just haven't had that because we hadn't gotten to this stage yet, right? I mean, that's just a reality. Is we're testing pre-alpha. It's not a live thing, and now that these things come in, we can start breaking apart how we built so you guys could at least play what we did have, right? So going forward, they're going to go nuts.
Yeah, it's going to be...
And acquiring these things. So I didn't dive into that too much in the discipline update that I did last week, but the acquiring of these things is going to be, you're going to have to go to a crafter. You're going to have to find them in the world. You're going to have to capture them in the soul gems, and that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if everybody carries around a couple soul gems with them, and those may even be kind of the trophy item for...
I did that with a mind.
That was weird. The cables over there just started moving on their own.
That's right.
So anyways, so when you kill people, I would think that may even be a trophy item because everyone's going to have them just in case you happen to be wandering the wilderness and you see...
Yeah, it's like, oh my god, that guy,
It's like, it's the super rare thrall that I need to make specific discipline, and he's just there. And if you don't have a soul gem...
It's like, somebody else is going to get him.
Someone else is going to get him, so... I think this system is going to add so much to the game that we haven't seen.
It's going to be really cool.
Yeah. All right, next question. Charging soul power. Class-specific charging of soul power. So, Confessor tied to sin, Knight taking to damage. Let's explain how soul power generates right now.
Yeah, so basically soul power, what the description says, basically, if you participate in combat, you're generating soul power. What that really means is when you hit somebody, you start ticking up soul power. When you get hit, you start ticking up soul power. So basically, as long as you are periodically hitting or being hit, you are going to start ticking up soul power. That's it on at its most basic in a nutshell. So what we have as far as soul power balance right now is essentially all soul power costs are the same. But that said, maybe not all soul power abilities are created equal. So we're amenable to the idea of like, maybe this one should cost less or this one should cost more or whatever, which in turn means it will take you more or less time to ramp up to being able to use that soul power, for example.
Sure, and right now we're not putting any soul power in the discipline system. It's just coming straight from the archetype.
Right.
And if you don't like those powers,
you don't have to load them out.
You can definitely load out a new power. If you just absolutely hate this mechanic,
then
there are plenty of. You will have way more powers in your book than you can actually put on a train. You're going to have to make some hard choices. So, all right, next question. Harvesting skill training time. There's a bunch of math in here comparing us to EVE Online and how long it takes to train something. And ours is roughly 5 times the values that are given in EVE right now. So, I mean, again, it's a product of our testing environment. And I think a lot of it is we're making them train the full portion of the skill before they can move deeper into the tree.
Right.
Which is something that we will be changing in the future. There is going to be some slight tweaks to the skill system here in the near future, I would say. But we just haven't gotten to them yet. Because disciplines just kind of blew up in our face.
Right.
And just became so cool, and everybody's just kind of working on them. And we also made them just, I think, a little bigger than what you and I talked about months and months ago.
Yeah. There's a little more, they're a little beefier than we were.
I like how every question has devolved into how awesome disciplines are. That's just how excited we are about this new system.
But we've been working on it for the last couple of weeks too.
Yeah, it's Christmas. They've come to fruition. They're looking really good, and it's like...
Yeah. You guys gotta realize we've been waiting for these for a long time too. So
we wait for since Kickstarter, which was... We just hit our 2-year anniversary, by the way, of the Kickstarter happening. And it's... And I've been waiting for discipline since the beginning. And now we have them, and it's so much fun.
It's awesome.
It's awesome. All right. Thanks for coming out for this month's Q&A. We will see you next month. And do you have anything, Mark?
See you guys next time, or maybe not. I don't know. It depends on if Blair wants me next to him or not.
Todd went to GDC and caught the plague. Actually, he went there with the plague.
He gave everybody else the plague.
Everyone who goes to GDC always comes back sick. Like, always comes back sick. It's ridiculous.
It's a GDC phage.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, see you guys next month.